7,000 per annum to reach HTC or PTC or HND or HDA, because this government cannot fund it. And despite all the sums of money that have come from the World Bank, the EU, and the money they claim to have recovered from the sale or freezing or other things of the APRC asset. So Bartambedu suddenly realized, oh, hang on, oh, blimey. How am I going to go and explain to Parliament that I didn't follow due process? I set the commission without an audit. I set a commission with enablers and enemies investigating somebody they didn't like. I said the commission has done its findings, but we couldn't follow the white paper with explanation, justification for doing what we had done. We are in trouble, because what Bartambedu is trying to do now, after selling Gambia's assets and materials illegally, because he done that even before the findings of the commission. Pay attention. Bartambedu was auctioning off, selling Gambia's material even before the recommendation from the white paper, even before he went to Parliament to justify his actions. So now he's going to go to Parliament and say to Parliament, hang on, we blamed Yahya Jammeh and his council members for the missing $35 million from Taiwan. And by the way, what built the airport? What started the expansion of the airport? What built GRTS? Was it not the $35 million from Taiwan? Oh, we investigated them against the constitution. So our parliament is going to sit down and say, hang on, Bartambedu. We thought our constitution was supreme. It stated that the Armed Forces Professional Ruling Council should not be investigated between July 1994 and October 1996. Why did you abrogate our constitution? Why did you contravene it? Why did you breach it, Bartambedu? I'm sure he's going to come up with one lispery, one answer laced with nothing but deceit, but lies, but cover up. He's going to try and explain it to Parliament and say, well, he's done this beyond his official powers. What official powers? What hours are official for a president of a republic? There are no official powers for the president of a republic. Even during their holiday, they are carrying out national duty. So if the president of the republic suddenly withdraws or gives away money at 2 a.m., 2 million, to go and buy a CT scanner from Taiwan to put at RVTH, or to extend that block at RVTH to create that children's section of the RVTH, or to do that, the president is working 24 hours. This is why they give the president free accommodation, they give the president free food, they provide them with free transport and free clothing and many other things, because the president basically never rests. Once you're one, you got to serve everyone, including the people you don't like. You got to work every minute. Yes, once you're asleep, I don't know whether the aides are allowed to wake them up. But effectively, if there's an emergency, you got no sleep. Every single thing gets blamed on the president. So, it's beyond. So why did he withdraw that $1 million via Alaji Cisse, who's been exonerated by that white paper? What was the $1 million for? What did he spend it on? They don't know. Oh, we believe the money's been put in the wrong place. What wrong place? Okay, fine. Maybe the money went in the wrong place. But so tell us, during that period, the 600 kilometers of roads that he built, where did that money come from? The first time we've seen tarmac, apart from the Banjul Highway and the airport tarmac, the first tarmac we saw in our cities and towns and villages was brought in by Yahya Jammeh. The first tarmac, A-grade tarmac. North Bank Road is 23 years old today. The road is still solid. I was young when PPP was in power. They built that Fonyi Highway. One rainy season, 2 rainy seasons, potholes galore everywhere. And the gele drivers, bus drivers, have to swing. It's like you're in a carousel or whatever. You're in a go-kart. You're swinging. You're ducking. You're going. 2 summers maximum. That's what the PPP white cockle shell roads were lasting. You cannot come from Khartoum and Gunjur and work in Banjul and go back same day. It was a mission. You cannot come from North Bank region and come to Banjul same day. That Caravan Bridge was a blessing. The road is still solid. Fonyi Highway in 2009 when I visited Gambia, it was built. Just a few months ago, March, when I went to Gambia, not a single pothole between Mandinaba and Soma. Not a single pothole. You can hear a pin drop. The road is pitch. Absolutely splendid. Brothers and sisters, look, let's cut the crap. Sorry for my language. Let's cut it out. The bullshit needs to stop. We are not prepared to lie down and allow these people to lie to the populace, to deceive people, to swindle funds, build themselves mansions. I saw a Gambia port worker the other day, embezzled 9 million allegedly, built a mansion, massive one. Oh hell, if he tried that yesteryear, he would have been somewhere else. He wouldn't have he wouldn't have imagined. Brothers and sisters, the Commission of Inquiry and its findings, and I can read them for you, some of it. Let me read some of their findings. It's all speculative. They have no evidence. In any legal document, if they accuse you of something, they have to have evidence to go with it. They said they explained some of these things in the document. Well, no, you need to give a summary. You need to tell us, oh, he signed this document. Give us a guideline. If Mohamed Sabali took $10, punishment by the white paper for stealing $10 is a slap on the wrist like Mambre Njai. So Mambre Njai and Alexis and other people who are slapped on the wrist, they just embezzled $10. Fine. So Amadou Samba, who did the same thing when Mustafa Njai, tough construction. Pay attention. I'm giving you these analogies and examples so you know that this white paper is nothing but phony. Nothing but a piece of paper that needs to go somewhere no decent human being sits next to. Okay? So Amadou Samba got contracts from APRC government. Mustafa Njai got contracts from APRC government. Amadou Samba was not accused of land grab. Mustafa Njai was accused of land grab. That Brufut Heights or Brufut End and the Old Yundum. He was accused of land grab. Mustafa Njai, Tough Construction, he used to be called, now called Tough Global. Amadou Samba did the same. They said, oh, he was getting favorable treatment under the APRC government. He was getting the contracts, many contracts. How then did Tough manage to get contracts from the APRC government? If Amadou Samba, I remember Boto Construction was getting contracts. CSC was getting contracts. How did Amadou Samba get all the favorable contracts? When I was young, Boto Construction were building roads. Amadou Samba was building roads. Atepa Kujabi was getting contracts. Mustafa Njai was getting contracts. CSC was getting contracts. How was Amadou Samba? So why is Tough not there? Why is Boto Construction? Why is CSC? No, because those people are related to them. They're family members. They will not be named. They will not be named. And I can tell you that now. So Ami Benson was not named. Completely absent from that list. Surata Jana was not named. Completely absent from that list. All their relatives. They weren't in there. They didn't list them. They want to go and amputate Mr. Sabali's spirit. I tell you what. Mr. Sabali is tougher than all of you. Because Mr. Sabali will not punish any of you undeservedly. He's an honorable man. He did what he could for the Gambia at a tender age. They didn't even factor in the fact that the guy was young at the time. Look at them in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Behaving like teenagers frolicking in mud somewhere. Playing chicken. Absolute travesty of justice. Complete abandonment of the simple principles of legality. And this is why anyone that appeals their findings against the Commission of Inquiry is likely going to win. But if they do not get the appeal upheld, they are likely to seek judicial review. Just one person. When it gets to judicial review stage, it only takes one person to initiate it against this Commission of Inquiry or the government of the Gambia. And that entire process is going to collapse. Total meltdown. Absolutely. And if I was in the position of Modu Sabali, Amadou Samba, and others, I'll take the Gambia government to the cleaners. Gambia government is going to spend the next $10 billion fighting legal cases because Amadou Samba is not going to roll down and die. Sabali is already put in a challenge. Many other people put in a challenge. I hope Jammeh's family puts in a challenge. I hope the APRC stands up for Jammeh. And I hope many other people who've been found one thing, but seeing other people who committed the same abnormalities go free. I hope they instigate those legal proceedings against the Commission of Inquiry. So let me look at the white paper. I'll give you the sort of language that these people talk about. And this is supposed to be evidence-based. Let's have a look. I do not want to deceive people or tell people anything that I don't know here. All right? You guys wait. Where is it? The Gambia government white paper on the report of the Commission of Inquiry into the financial activities. I've got a 1,600 paper of the findings of the commission, so I can't read that. But I'm going to read their conclusion on Jammeh's activities. I'll read their conclusions on Sabali's activities, and I'll read their conclusions on Alhaji Osman Sise, the Chief of Protocol's conclusions. Just that. Just to give you an idea. I can't read all of it. 93 pages, I think. Yep, 93 pages. I'll read the relevant provisions. You listen. Introduction. I'm not even going to read that. That's an introduction of who Yahya Jammeh was, what his salary was in 1994, and what he done to Gamtel Nawek, So I had to join a chairperson. Abiosa George, member. By Masen, member. I don't know those people. But for all you know, I wouldn't be surprised if those people are actually. Findings. Former President Yahya A.J.J. Jammeh. In fact, I don't know whether Yahya was spelled correctly. They put one. Guys, please, don't call me. I'm live. Yeah, I'm using my phone to go live. So if you call me messenger, you're just absolutely ruining my evening. Yeah? I appeal. Before you call me, go on my wall and check if I'm live, please. Yahya Jammeh was in power for 22 years, 6 months. Yeah, surprise, surprise. The best president we had. Let's deal with the numbers. I'm talking about numbers now. If you're getting emotional and sentimental, just step aside. I'm talking about numbers. The best president we had statistically. Yeah? You like it or hate it, that's the truth. If you don't like it, go and bring the figures to counter it. Well, at least Barrow, everyone is confirmed now. Barrow has united Gambia in opposition now. That's confirmed that he's not better than Jammeh. Nowhere near. In fact, I saw a BBC reporter giving Barrow a minus score out of 10. He gave Barrow minus. These were the people who were drumming him up. These were the people who were saying Jammeh must go. Well, Jammeh wasn't supposed to be there forever. If I were Jammeh, after the 2006 elections or 2011, I would have figured out an exit strategy. But then again, maybe he didn't have that opportunity. Maybe it's the people around him, just like the people who surround Barrow now, telling them all sorts of stuff. Who knows? But that's irrespective of what's here. He still continued to develop the country. He still continued. Up to 2016, he was still inaugurating projects, the OMVG, the Lamenkoto Pasamas, the Fatoto Koina roads, all those bridges now that Barrow is claiming that brought in by the Chinese. They were all Jammeh's projects, Sukuta Jambanjeli, and we're still inaugurating Jammeh's projects 3 years after his departure. Oh, the International Conference Center and the OIC. So in 2022, we'll still be inaugurating Jammeh's projects. How can the nation, a certain section of our nation, dislike that sort of person so much they don't want to see anything? They don't even want to say a good word about him. This is why I don't understand why APRC do not come out and annihilate Barrow. Barrow hasn't spoken one good word about Jammeh. At least Hussein Dabo of the UDP is praising Jammeh where he could. He said he's forgiven Jammeh. He can come back and we say Al-Fatiha and move on. Yeah? Barrow and his cronies are absolutely drumming up the war drums. Warmongers. They're condemning APRC and Yahya Jammeh every single day for what he did and didn't do. Let's go down to their conclusion on Jammeh's findings. Where is it? Properties. 281 properties he owned, they said. Former Jammeh's properties can be placed in 7 categories. I don't want to read every single thing. I want to go to the conclusion just to tell you they have absolutely nothing. No substance to prove nothing. Me. People need to stop calling me. Pending claims. Okay, so pending claims. They've already sold these properties. That's what they're talking about here. Even before the findings against Jammeh, they sold his cattle. They sold his vehicles. Well, they gave away some of his vehicles because they didn't sell them. Out of 357 vehicles, they only raised about 50 million. Yeah, if you average it, they sold vehicles for between 5,000 and 10,000. And Jammeh wasn't driving any scrap metal. No, he wasn't driving an old banging, clanging vehicle. These people, the next government that comes in, if they're not careful, they will go to those gallows before Jammeh gets there. I hope, well, we need to get rid of the death sentence, to be honest with you. No one will be sent to the gallows, but they'll face commissions that will send them into those cells that they refuse to renovate, by the way. My party said, Mile 2 will be revamped. There will be prison reforms. The only thing that my party reformed was buying Apple-branded stuff for his office and his home. Apparently, he had an Apple Mac, brand spanking new, iPhone, brand spanking new, with everything that Apple made. Bought himself a Range Rover. Bought himself other things, fancy things. A massive mansion. You wait. I want to find the conclusions to what they said Jammeh did. Okay? And what punishment he was levied. Properties with pending claims. Okay? So pending claims. Well, fine. You go and deal with it. $300 million. I can see that. Former president financial dealings and or activities were at all stages facilitated, assisted, or even guided by a number of people. A number of people. One of them was Mustafa Njai. One of them was Ami Bensouda. Yeah? Former president's financial dealings and or activities at all stages were facilitated, assisted, or even guided by a number of people. Who was guiding him legally? Ami Bensouda. Who was guiding him financially in terms of projects, tough projects, and Buru food projects? Mustafa Njai. Yeah? Close associates. Bensouda was one of them. There are allegations that she even had power of attorney, Jammeh's power of attorney. For those of you who are not familiar with legal terms, it simply means she can carry out financial transactions on behalf of Jammeh without Jammeh needing to be there. Okay? That's how much Jammeh trusted this lady. Be careful who you trust. Be careful who you deal with. If money, material, is their motivation, their alpha and the omega, you got to be careful. Okay? So, former president's financial dealings that I've said that, close associates and his advisors, directly or indirectly, through companies in which former president Jammeh had an interest. Ocean Bay is one of them. Is it Ocean Bay or Caribou Beach that was sold? Conveyancer or the conveyancer? Let's do that. The Commission's entire findings and the full extent of former president's liabilities and culpability are contained in the full report, particularly in volumes 1 and 2 in respect of the accounts, volume 3 in respect of lands. That's a lot. Let me go to the conclusion. The government accepts the findings of the Commission in so far as they relate to former President Jammeh and his wife Zainab Jammeh. The Commission understood that the damage former President Jammeh has caused to government institutions, public resources, and state-owned enterprises of such serious nature that the government ought to introduce a motion before the National Assembly to charge or to be brought against former president for theft, economic crimes, and corruption. Parliament. Are you going to go headlong collision with the Constitution of 1997? Our Gambian Parliament. Are you going to do that? Are you going to breach our Constitution? They're going to take the matter to Parliament. So these materials shouldn't have been sold in the first place, Jammeh's materials. Okay? So what else did they say? The Commission's export reveal unprecedented level of... Okay. The government accepts the findings of the Commission so far as they relate to Jammeh and Zainab. Accordingly, the government accepts the recommendation of the Commission that former President Jammeh's properties, including his assets in and outside the Gambia, company shares, and other acquisitions forfeited to the state or confiscated by the state and sold. The proceeds of sale shall be applied to the payment of monies for which former president and his wife and all companies associated with them are found to be liable in the report. The said properties are hereby forfeited to the state. The government also accepts the Commission's recommendation that criminal proceedings be instituted against former president for theft, economic crimes, and corruption. So all those crimes, alleged crimes, are covered by the immunity clause impunity, indemnity, whatever you call it. They're covered for Jammeh at least until 2016. First for the Armed Forces Professional Ruling Council between 1994 and 1996. Then from 1996 until 2016, the president is immune for acts or omissions carried out during his tenure. So they want to take it to Parliament. So Parliament can say, let's ignore the 1997 Constitution and prosecute Jammeh. Recommend his prosecution. That's the state. General Solbaji, I'm not interested in General Solbaji. I'll skip. I'll go to where they found... Asad Njah said it's the same. She signed few things. They didn't say she put money anywhere. She signed stuff, women's empowerment, a few other things. She signed social welfare, health. She was chairperson of and vice chairperson of Dr. Alhaji Ajame Foundation for Peace, Operation Save the Children Foundations. They didn't say he took money or she took money, she put it somewhere else. Okay? Let's go. 11 million they want her to pay, or 3 million something. Is that the final figure? 11 million. Let's go to Maud Sabali. I find the recommendation Sabali are comparing to Usman Sise, who's been venerated. You wait. Mohammed Bassi, nope. I'm not interested in Bassi. Amadou Samba saw one. That was ridiculous. Mustafa Njai should have been there next to Amadou Samba. Yeah? But those people will not be there. Those people, like they say, they got backers in the government. Nobody's going to touch them. It's just like Kanye, nicknamed Mo Fala. They got backers in the government. The chief of defense staff of the Gambia army is his cousin. Or brother-in-law, whatever. Yeah, but they're related. Nobody's going to touch him. And so far as we've seen so far in the Gambia, it's legal to be illegal when it comes to Yahya Jammeh. Because people hate him because of the guy's background or what he'd done in government to corrupt heads or kicking out their parents or aunts or uncles' government, PPP government. They hated him with passion. Yeah? I'll skip these. I want to find Momodu Sabali's one. I'll read what they said. Oh, Alaji Sise. Let me read Alaji Sise's one first. Mr. Alaji Sise is a civil servant. I will not go there. Let me go to the finding. The commission found inter alia that Mr. Alaji Sise, among other protocol officers of state, and on the instructions of former President Jammeh, collected cash withdrawals authorized by former President Jammeh. And we know for a fact that Jammeh's signature was not on those authorized documents. They're just making it up. They said Jammeh authorized. Jammeh's signature was only found in one document. Yeah? He authorized by former president from the Central Bank of the Gambia. Mr. Alaji was responsible for collecting a total of 2,700,000 between July 2014 and July 2015. Okay? The commission also found that the Office of Repressible established an office for Zainab Jammeh. Accounts were opened at GTB in October. Mr. Alaji Sise was a signatory to some of those accounts. 3 accounts were opened, a dollar, and euro account. Mr. Alaji Sise was involved in those. Yeah? He made swift transfer. All withdrawals from the accounts were swift transfers by Mr. Alaji Sise. All right? Bank accounts that includes Morocco, the Potomac residents in Maryland, and other individuals. According to the commission, at least $1,700,000 was transferred from public accounts, including over-the-counter cash transfers by various protocol officers for Zainab Jammeh, including Alhaji Sise. The commission found that accounts were funded by cash deposit mainly by Mr. Alhaji Sise. The commission concluded that the cash was provided by former President Jammeh from misappropriated public funds. Where? Where did the public funds come from? So you said the funds were withdrawn from Central Bank or the foundation. Who put them there? The cash didn't just turn up and went into that foundation. Where did the cash come from? Did he take them from Gamtel or from Social Security or from NAWIC and put them in there? No proof. Okay? Traveled extensively. They said the commission found that Mr. Alhaji Sise traveled extensively with both former president and lately Zainab. How ironical. Padiem. He traveled extensively. The irony. What a cheek. Yeah? Let's go. The commission noted with concern that Mr. Alhaji Sise seemed to have accepted as normal the many errands in which he was sent to execute financial transactions for former President Jammeh under questionable circumstances. Show us the questions, Ami Bensouda and Surata Jane. Show us the questions that raised doubt that Alaji Sise was taking that money not to put into government business, but to put it in his own pockets, or for Jammeh to put it in his own pockets. You haven't proven it. There's not even an index. There's no appendix diverting us or directing us for these justifications. So it says, the government accepts in part the findings of the commission insofar as they relate to Mr. Alaji Usman Sise. In particular, the government accepts that Mr. Alaji Sise conducted several financial transactions, including the receipt and collection of monies on behalf of former President Jammeh and Zainab Jammeh on their instructions. The government, however, rejects the commission's finding. Hallelujah! Barrow's got a backbone. Once his interest is threatened, Barrow comes out fighting like a wounded tiger. He's got a backbone. Yay! Gambia's finally got a president. He's going to stand up to the cronies. He's going to stand up to the 5 smelly men of the Gambia. He's going to stand up against the mafia that are trying to strangle him, that are trying to wrestle him down to the ground. Barrow's got backbone. Finally. Hooray! The government rejects the commission's findings that there is a probable cause for holding that Mr. Alaji Sise aided and abetted former president in the illegal appropriation of public funds for the reasons below. So the reasons Gambia government gave, the duties and functions of the protocol entail all those financial transactions for the president and for the first lady. Yeah, brilliant. So I'm going to skip. This is what Gambia government said. His functions include withdrawing money and giving it to Jammeh or to Zainab, or putting them into government activity. Excellent. Excellent. Absolutely brilliant. Now let's find Sabali's one. Yeah? Sabali as the Secretary General is not allowed to approve something that's been feasibly studied, costed, and funded. He cannot do that because Sabali takes no prisoners. Sabali tells them how it is. Sabali investigated them for wrongdoing in the past. So let's get that whip and hit him with it. Vengeful. Revenge. Vengeance. It's open. It's not even subtle anymore. It's plain. It's plain. It's conspicuous. Where's Sabali's findings? So Mustafa Njai is free. Ami Bensouda is free. Alaji Sise is free. Yeah? Habib Damra is free. Mohamed Sabali. Yeah? He worked. I'll not put a description. The commission found earlier that during his tenure as Secretary General, Mr. Momodu Sabali was signatory to various public accounts. Yes, that's what the Secretary Generals do. That's what Dauda Fadera did when they came in newly. That's what Kamara did when they came in newly. That's what Habib Drame did, who was accused of flossing Kurang out of the Commission of Inquiry when Kurang raised questions against Habib Drame's sister, Ami Bensouda, who was the lead counsellor of the Commission of Inquiry. Quran exposed the conflict of interest, that Ami Bensouda should not have been sitting over those proceedings in which she was adversely mentioned. Habib Drame was the Secretary General at the time. They conspired, okay, or connived with the Justice Minister and Bensouda and sacked Kurang out. They forced him out of the commission. So they said, Mohamed Sabali was signatory to a lot of these public funds, some of which were not accounted for. Well, you said he was signatory. Public funds. They were not accounted for. Why are you charging him? You can't find evidence. Why are you charging? You see why, you know what? These people are lucky they're not going to face me in court. Seriously. They were not accounted for. So why are you blaming him for it? This is why they should have audited and then carry out the commission and then prosecuted. That's the natural order of things. On the instructions of former president, you said he was not accounted for. But you said on the instructions of the former president, the commission found that Mohamed Sabali and the former president were jointly and severally liable for the said amounts of money misappropriated by former president. How did he misappropriate them? No appendix. Yeah? No direction given to where they've explained that misappropriation, where that money went. Well, during that period, Jammeh built a lot of things. Yeah? And those things, hold on a second. What do you want? Connection. What happened to the Wi-Fi? What happened to the Wi-Fi? The Wi-Fi is on. Why do you want to connect it to something else? Sorry, guys. That's my little daughter. Yeah? So, now, let's go back. I got lost for a minute. So they said the government notes that Mohamed Sabali's many involvements in the financial transactions of former president, which was not part of his official duty. What was not part of his official duty? Signing documents approved by government departments, by the president's office. How do you know? Which are not part of his official duties. What are they? Especially our Secretary General demonstrated, they left the D out, demonstrated the enthusiasm with which he facilitated those transactions. His conduct fell short of a standard of professional conduct expected of the head of the civil service. The enthusiasm with which he demonstrated his willingness to aid and abet Jammeh. How do you measure enthusiasm in law? How do you measure it? How do you measure enthusiasm in law, brothers and sisters? How do you know Mohamed Sabali was doing it enthusiastically? How on earth will you judge enthusiasm? How do you measure it? You have no accounts to prove what you're saying. You said they weren't unaccounted. They weren't accounted for. How do you prove? One, that the money came from the wrong place. Two, the money went into the wrong place. Three, that Jammeh misappropriated it. How? Ladies and gentlemen, come on. These are basics. Let's learn to read. Let's stand up for what is true. This is why I haven't given this commission respect, because any law court, any natural justice or transitional justice or whatever you call it, you cannot use enablers, you cannot use family, you cannot use friends, you cannot use enemies to sit over your case. Doesn't happen anywhere in the world. Epic fail. Judicial review. All it takes Amadou Samba to seek to appeal. If his appeal is not upheld, seek a judicial review, and every other case will be thrown out. This government, you see the 50 million they spent on the Commission of Inquiry, and that's what they told us, by the way. We don't know what else they spent on. 50 million, they said. They gonna end up spending close to 5 billion fighting these legal cases at the High Court or Appeals Court. Okay? One, they didn't follow the process, and when the white paper came, they didn't follow what our constitution said. You need to follow that up with justification of what you've done. Explanation of what you've done. They haven't done that. So the commission says, or the white paper says, the commission said his conduct fell short. The government white paper says the government accepts the commission's recommendation that Mr. Sabali should not serve in any public office again or be appointed director for any state-owned enterprise for at least 10 years. Mohamed Sabali is hereby banned from holding public office for a remainder of his life. Really? You're going to ban him for the remainder of his life? For something that you categorically stated that was not accounted for. They didn't say Mohamed Sabali should pay back 1 billion. Not a single sum was mentioned in Mohamed Sabali's recommend. Not one butut was mentioned in it. Now I'm looking at it here. Mohamed Sabali is at 216, 217, 218, 219. All about Mohamed Sabali. Not a single penny was mentioned in there, but they banned him for life. I'm getting angry. I am simmering right now. I am sweating and it's cold in here. Enraged. He is also banned from holding any director positions in any state-owned enterprise in the Gambia for 10 years. Both bans are effective from the date of publication of the white paper last Friday. The monies shall be recovered from the assets of former president. Yeah? So what money? So you're gonna look at this. I committed a crime, but 4 days, my brother. I committed a crime, but I worked with Malang before. They're gonna go and sell Malang's properties and recover the money that I took from the country to pay for my crimes. So I commit a crime. They're gonna go and take 4 days property and sell it, and then pay for my crimes from 4 days money. Guilt by association. I'll sell Jammeh's property, and from that money, I'll take the money Mohamed Sabali owed from Jammeh's money. And how much does Mohamed Sabali owe? Not a single penny, not a single figure was quoted here. I'm going to publish this on my page, MrLaminTamba.com on Facebook. You go and look at it. I'm not making these up. These are matters for legal consideration, and I will not lie. I'm looking at the paper now, the white paper. Mahmoud Sabali's single penny was not mentioned in this white paper, but they're going to sell Jammeh's property and pay for Sabali's alleged crimes. Where in the world will you punish an adult male, a sober and reasonable male who's allegedly committed a crime? You punish them by taking sums or material from another person to pay for their crime. Mahmoud Sabali is not Jammeh's brother or sister, even if they were. You don't punish a father from an adult kid's behavior, even if the kid is not an adult and they committed crime. You don't punish the parents for it, unless the parents have been proven to have been complicit. Part of the plan. They were part of the conspiracy, and you've got evidence of that. So what? Next minute they're going to ban me because I talk about APRC, I talk about Fonyi, I talk about the commission. They're going to ban me, sell Jammeh's cattle, and then pay for my crimes. Look, I'll screenshot this. This is serious. Both bans are effective from the date of publication of this white paper. The money shall be recovered from the assets of former President Jammeh. This is in black and white. Yeah? Sabali, you don't have to worry. So why are they banning him then? Why are they banning him? What for? This is double jeopardy, right? You owe this money, you paid the money, you've still been banned, you've still been punished. But what money anyway does Sabali owe? In the case of Alhaji Ceesay, millions is handled. In the case of Sabali, not a single sum was mentioned. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to stay here forever. I'm going to skip the white paper because this, when it goes to court, if our judicial system is independent, as they claim, and we believe that it's not, and I've got reasons to say that, because a judiciary should have been warning the government regarding the detention of Fonyi soldiers they call the junglers. They have been warning about the picking up of Kamfenda, 51 people of Kamfenda, just for insulting each other with UDP people. Judiciary should have warned the government that every other death in the hands of the government has had a commission of inquiry, except Haruna Jatta, except Sirifo Kujabi. For Haruna Jatta and Sirifo Kujabi, they sent their own killers to investigate themselves. They sent the army, Senegalese army, to investigate themselves for killing Haruna Jatta. They said the army should investigate Sirifo Kujabi's murder, which seemed to have been perpetrated by the army or the paramilitary. Lots of evidence been sent in. The judiciary is not sending alarm bells to the Justice Minister, saying, hang on, Justice Minister, this immunity clause is serious. Our Bar Association is not telling the Justice Minister, this immunity clause has been there since 1996 and it's entrenched. You cannot abrogate the Constitution. You cannot contravene our laws. Investigate Jammeh for anything else after 2016. Investigate Yankuba Toure and co. for anything else after 1996, not before 1996. You cannot investigate Jammeh for anything else. But they said, Jammeh and Esa Fall of the TRRC said, murder and human crimes against humanity and murder are the only crimes that aren't covered by the immunity clause. That's why they charged Yankuba for murder instead of contempt, because they wanted to keep him. So why are you investigating Babeli Mansa and the junta members for crimes against our economy, alleged crimes against the economy? Why are you investigating them? You are breaking the law to enforce the law, and that's illegal. That's unlawful. Let's move on. The TRRC, the vice chairman of the TRRC, the custodian of all means that were supposed to deploy to reconcile the nation, to unite us. Adelaide Sosa is her name. She's the vice chair of the TRRC. If you're not familiar with Gambian politics, TRRC simply means Truth, Reconciliation and Reparation Commission. And the act was passed in 2017 it was passed by Gambian Parliament. Parliament is right to pass these Commission of Inquiry and TRRC acts or whatever. Parliament is right because Parliament didn't expect the government to break the immunity clause to investigate or to carry out these commissions. Parliament didn't expect that. It's the Justice Minister, Gambia's Justice Minister, who went ahead and broke the constitution willingly, deliberately. So Parliament needs to investigate him. They need to call him and say, hang on, apparently you sold Jammeh's property. You froze APRC's accounts. You done other things. Took their vehicles. Even before you audited. Even before the commission sat. Why did you do that? You completely violated our laws. And punishment for that is imprisonment. If it's treason, murder. Or execution, I would say. Not murder. Execution. Parliament needs to ask him. If he dare step in there, that should be another question of the diplomatic passport. Bartamidu is the only justice minister who will jump up and tell the courts, free these people. Nobody does that to the law courts. Again, this is why earlier, about 2 or 3 minutes ago, I questioned the impartiality and the independence of our judiciary. Why would the Attorney General say to the court, free somebody who's been charged? Why? What powers has he got? What laws is he following? What advice is he seeking? Bartambi tells people to free people. Does he have powers to do that? No. Once the case is in court, the people who brought it or the aggrieved parties can agree to settle the matter out of court. The government cannot then turn around and say, we charge you for murder. Yes, you committed murder, but we're going to drop the charges. Yeah, you can drop the charges, but that has to follow a proper court system. Not the justice minister turning up and saying, hang on, this is causing us troubles. We can't be bothered with that. Freedom, please. No, doesn't work like that. Yeah? So the TRC vice chair, Adelaide Sose, was in the United Kingdom, slagging off Funi and Jola, saying we're the problem in the New Gambia. But then again, I don't want to stay here long. I've been here for an hour and a half. And I've discussed the main topic, which is the white paper, and we all know where we stand now. So anyone who was found to have been involved in embezzlement, misconduct, was written to by the commission, hopefully all of them, and they have the chance or had the chance to write to the appeals court to appeal their cases. But this commission of inquiry didn't follow our constitution, didn't follow the law. Yeah? So the legend in 4 day, he can come in. They didn't follow the law. Why should that commission stand? Yeah? Legally, this commission has no legs. 4 day, welcome. Welcome to today's program.
Thank you.
I'll introduce 4 day to you guys. He's a legend, former civil servant, former diplomat. He's still a diplomat because diplomacy is about conduct. It's not about what office you hold.
Lamin, no. Lamin, you know why I came.
4 days,
Lamin, I must tell you this. I do not come to interfere or to interrupt you.
No.
Lamin,
in fact,
you know
I wanted to invite people to come and have a say.
Lamin, this is the best. This is one of the best program. Yeah. I followed you from start to finish, and there's nothing that I can fault you for.
Yeah.
This is excellent, and I must tell you that I've seen a lot of prospect.
Yeah.
I don't want to call you names now, but what I'm saying is, this, in fact, what you're saying today, doing today, is not political. It's about the nation.
Yes.
And what's happening in the Gambia is a national issue. It's not a political issue. Yeah. And it should be a collective responsibility as Gambians to look at this together and find a solution.
Yes.
I've always been saying this. I mean, whatever happened, we don't want to see a failed state.
No.
If Gambia fails, it's going to affect the Gambian people.
Yes.
And so we don't want to see a failed state. This is what APRC is calling for. That is what the ex-president is talking about all the time. This is what the national executive of the APRC are talking about. But this is not about APRC. This is about the Gambia.
Yeah.
What we fail to understand is, in law, if you establish anything of such,
yes,
it becomes a case law.
Yeah, precedent.
And so therefore, people will use it in prosperity.
Yes.
So we must therefore try to establish cases that are just and fair.
Yes.
For every Gambian across the board. I just want to go off and leave you to continue because I think you've done the job. You've done the job. I don't need to come in here.
Yeah.
You've done the job. And I'm taking this opportunity to thank you very much
No
for what
problems.
you're
I'm
doing. And
learning from you. I'm
this
learning
is not
from I'm
political. This
learning
is
from
a
you. When I joined politics newly, you were the guys that were guiding me because I
no.
knew very little about Gambian politics at the time.
Proud of you, definitely. I must say this. I'm really proud of you. I have to give way because I want you to continue,
Yeah,
and then another time I will come in and we share the platform.
yeah,
But this is
absolutely.
brilliant.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much.
I
God
appreciate
bless
that.
you.
All right.
Thanks, yeah.
All right. Okay. Now let's come back. Thank you very much, Fode. We've gone back. We're going to TRRC now, which is still going on. Again, investigating the period between 1994 to 1996. Again, investigating Yahya Jammeh from 1996 to 2016. The acts are there. I've shared these numerous times. I've shared them many times on my Facebook wall, on different places. They're written in black and white. I don't make these up. This is what Gambia government is doing today. But again, I said before, if you start off on the wrong foot, you've got to be ridiculously good to catch up and perform and get a result. The president we have today in the Gambia is not only good, you can give him 10 meters ahead and you'll beat him. He knows very little in terms of how an institution works. He lacks the academics of it. He lacks the experience of it. He lacks the drive and the energy, and definitely has no vision. He's devoid of vision, completely devoid. The Gambia president today, if we have any, we have one by title. We have anything but an effective president. And there is no way any of those people who's been found to have been involved would take this matter to court and lose it if they instigate judicial review. Because the people who oversaw this the Commission of Inquiry, the people who are overseeing the TRRC, and look, TRRC, let's come. You see what's going on now? Apparently, Sana Sabal is opened the Hope Foundation in Brikama to look after deportees and other migrants or repatriated people in Brikama, funded or supported by Baba Gale Jallo, the chairman of TRRC. Is that why Sana Sabali's testimony on the first day at TRRC and his second day dramatically changed overnight? On the first day, Jammeh was unaware. He took responsibility of 11/11 and everything else, and the people who were shooting in the streets willy-nilly. Sana Sabali took responsibility of all those occurrences, violations of the rule of law. The next day, Sana Sabali came and started undoing his work from the previous day. Now Baba Gale Jal of TRRC, allegedly, because I haven't seen the paper proving that he's the one supporting the Hope Center in Brikama, Combo Brikama, for the migrants and other people who are struggling. Sana Sabali has opened it. So Sana Sabali has cleaned his hands of the Zamzam. His hands, the blood is being cleaned off by Zamzam. He's a clean man. Sana Sabali will not be found wanting in this TRRC. Sana Sabali is related or big friends with Adelaide Sose. They picked him up from prison when he was discharged or released by the APRC government. He lived there. They facilitated his stay in the country and maybe his departure from the country. Adelaide Sose, the chairman, who said Fonyi and Jolas are the obstacle to Gambia's reconciliation. And this is the custodian of our means and ways of reconciliation. She is the one that wants Gambia to reconcile. But already she's elbowing Fonyi, she's elbowing the Jolas. On a public platform in the United Kingdom of all places. When I came here newly, white people, the racist ones that is, and I have to be grateful because the majority of white people I met, very nice. I've not come across many cases of racism, certainly not violent ones. They used to say to me, I do not mean to be racist, but black people are not smart. In my own Gambia, the vice chairperson of the TRRC is saying, I don't mean to be racist, but Jolas are the problem to reconciliation. Fonyi people. Only other ethnicities in Fonyi participated in the reconciliation process. Well, Adelaide Sose, in your TRRC, you have nobody from Fonyi. You have no Jola. That's not the complaint here. I'm just giving you an idea as to how, when you reconcile with people, you pick people that they look up to, they are role models, and put them there, and they do the peace talk. That's how reconciliation works. Reconciliation never works if you bring total strangers to come to and talk people down, like you done to Funi and Jola people in Manchester. Reconciliation never succeeds if you talk people down. Reconciliation happens when you bring both parties or all parties to the table on a clean state, without finger pointing, without finger jabbing, without that deplorable, bigoted, perverted language that you uttered to the people. That never happens anywhere else with results coming out of it. That is an abject failure, total failure. It's not going to happen. You are the custodian of the means and ways of reconciling Gambians. And you turn up in the United Kingdom in front of people and uttered that putrid snob, stench, pungent against the people. And those are the people you wanted to reconcile, by the way, with the rest of the country. You turned around and said, these people were the problem. Then this is because if I don't trust you, how am I going to reconcile? If this was about reconciliation, a prominent guy in TRRC should have been Funfoni or Jola, if they were the problem. Forget about that if they weren't the problem, and I don't think they were the problem. The problem of what happened in the last 54 years of post-independence Gambia is the Gambians across all sections, all communities. It's got nothing to do with Fonyi, it's got nothing to do with Jolas. All a cross-section of our communities were involved. But then if you know the Jolas were the problem and Fonyi people were the problem, why didn't you have a prominent Fonyi guy, prominent Jola in there? Because that's how reconciliation works. You bring your representative, I bring my representative, she brings her representative, we sit down and talk, because these are our role models, these are the people who represent us. We talk, we agree, we have something in paper, we move on. If somebody needs to be compensated, they need to be compensated. If we're going to prosecute them, forget about reconciliation. Forget it. You know, she's lucky, because I feel sorry for Gambian women. They're very hardworking. Most of the time, the real breadwinners of our families. Love them. Love our women. If that was a woman, a man said that, like Sidi Sane tried it on me once, I would have shredded that to bits. Completely destroyed her down. Or if it's a man, destroyed him down. Demolished. It would be a demolition job overnight. But Gambian women deserve that 100% and more respect from me. They work so hard under extenuating circumstances, excruciating chores that they carry out on a day-to-day basis. They suffered for far too long in our country. They were deprived, they were discriminated, and they're still being discriminated, although the deprivation was alleviated by Yahya Jammeh. He removed all the discrimination that was in the Gambia against women. Yahya Jammeh instituted. He enacted laws to empower our women and children. He gave them free education to all levels, gave them scholarships, empowered them, gave them top government jobs. Our youngest minister was a lady. Thanks to Yahya Jammeh. The same people turning around and saying, he's a bad man, he's done this, he's raped me. How did he? If that's what a bad man does, I would love there to be a multiplication of bad men in our country. If a man that fights for women, legislates in favor of women, abolishes all the hardship that women go through, educates them for free, empowers them, puts them on that platform globally, if that's what a bad man is comprised of, I would like to transform myself into a bad man. I want to get a multiplication of bad men in our country, the world over. Because that's what bad men do. They work for the society, they transform people's lives. And Yahya Jammeh is worthy of being called a bad man. You can investigate him. It's up to you. Okay? Investigate him. It's up to you. Abrogate the Constitution. Contravene it. Do it. You got a little power today. We don't seem to learn. We don't seem to improve. We don't seem to appreciate each other. I, for one, will put up a stand against this government. I will scratch beneath the surface. I will stand up and be counted. I will stiffen my backbone. I will speak up. I will counter this government in Mason. And unlike them, I speak up when I got paper like this, black and white, right in front of me, and reading it in front of the world. Everyone listening will know this is written in black and white. I don't make things up. This is it. I wanted to talk about diplomatic passport, but I don't have the time. Batambido has returned his. Gambian ministers and possibly the president, who knows, were selling diplomatic passports allegedly. Some people have been arrested. Gambia's justice minister and attorney general, who's supposed to know the law more, was abusing his privileges. He applied for diplomatic passports for his wife, for his mother-in-law, for his sisters, and was it his sister-in-law? He applied for diplomatic passport for those people, and those people do not represent Gambia in any capacity overseas. If you're not going to travel overseas to represent the Gambia, why would you need a diplomatic passport? His justification was that his mom is elderly and on a wheelchair and needed a diplomatic passport to have that privilege to bypass some of the difficulties that pilgrims face in Hajj in Mecca or Mecca. So other people on wheelchairs, other elderly pilgrims cannot have that privilege. He's got that privilege because he's a minister. He felt so ashamed of himself. He was weeping the other day, and he said he was going to return the diplomatic passports. Why are you returning them? Because you're guilty as charged. You feel bad about it. You are greedy. Apparently, he comes from a wealthy family. But if you come from a wealthy family and you're fighting for scraps with the poor, what does that make you? It makes you an absolute creep. The man should resign and go and find another job in the private sector. Himself and the president, who are serving themselves rather than the public that they have been put in there to serve, need to depart the government business and go and serve in private companies where they can serve themselves and their family. This is about public service. It's about sacrifice. You want to do the best for Gambians. You want to transform the lives like Yahya Jammeh did. You guys cannot even do one thing that Yahya Jammeh's index finger did. The transformation is done to the poor, the countryside, rural areas, and everyone else. You guys haven't done a quarter of it. In 2.5 years, what that man did within 6 months of coming into government as a 29-year-old army lieutenant, you guys haven't done it in 2.5 years, despite the fact that you've had about close to $1 billion in terms of aid and funding from the UN, from EU, from Saudi, from Qatar, from China, from all those places. Where did the funds go? Life is more difficult in the Gambia today than it's ever been. And this, my brothers and sisters, on that bombshell, I'm going to end this Facebook Live. I've been here close to 2 hours. I wanted to discuss the white paper. I'm sure by tomorrow we'll all have a clear conscience. We'll all believe that what this government is engaged in is nothing but mafia business. What this government is engaged in is nothing but jungle justice. What this government is engaged in is nothing but deceiving people, lying to people, serving themselves, cunning the public, and leaving office properly enriched, and people's poverty index drops. Very soon, Gambia will be the poorest inland country in Africa, the poorest country in Africa. That, if we don't change this government quite quickly, that's where we're headed, brothers and sisters. Dark, deep down, deep, dark abyss, that's where we're headed. Rock bottom, and it's not going to change until we get people who want to sacrifice for our country. These people are hustlers. They have a track record of hustling. They have a track record of corruption inside Gambia, outside of Gambia, and nobody has seen a change. The EU said the money they gave to these people within 2 years in government, they didn't give that to Jammeh in 20 years. You compare Jammeh to these people, you're blind, you're deaf, you're dumb, you will not even try. These people with eyes, ears, sense of taste, hearing, every single thing. I don't know if they got 5 common senses. I think they should. They can smell it, they can see it, they can feel it, they can hear it. But I doubt that they're deploying their senses the right way. Well, they are deploying it the right way, serving their families. Individualism, corruption, nepotism, using public funds to engage in such nefarious acts.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين Badi epi arsin kolu fono kene jan dol nyimal takara kono mbe aldanla min be suto kono fofano ke alnyima siwli kara kono somondan controlem mbe ninyotongo president kendo yaya ejijan babili mansa abesiti gine kotrali anala muso anala dingolu an delegation me an tata jati kelen be kontona kanabla Gambia mbe nyaton kol kontona Pabakari Tombo Njata katabul Arambo Jata yawa kolli katabula na extifol be ani na dipitolu kansulolu chamanolu omusukunda ke kunda kanabula nkotuma alaji bajo ko dukre pamadu suso an momo be AP asa grupol kono kata koina fo kato Africa bankol kanabula Europe UK America alna bari wala Muhammad Bajaha dum dapuka somandan kondo di assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Auzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Auzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Auzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Badi epi arsin kolu fono kene jan dol nyimal takara kono be aldan la min be suto kono fo fono ke al nyima siwli kara kono somondan controlem be ninyotongo president kendo yaya ejijan babili mansa abesiti gine kotrali anala muso anala dingolu an delegation me an tata jati kelen be kontona kanabla Gambia mbe nyaton kol kontona Pabakari Tombo Njata katabul Arambo Jata yawa kolli katabula na extifol be ani na dipitolu kansulolu chamanolu omusukunda ke kunda kanabula nkotuma alaji bajo ko dukre pamadu suso an momo be AP asa grupol kono kata koina fo kato Africa bankol kanabula Europe UK America alna bari wala Muhammad Bajaha dum dapuka somandan kondo di assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.